Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform, a place where women can gain inspiration for their journey to success through the powerful experiences of successful Black businesswomen, past and present. These women are redefining leveling up by creating legacies in their own time. Are you ready to do the same? Join the discussion on the BBL platform, the place where legacies live.
Thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Tiffany Lee, and this is my co-host, Julia Myers.
Hello, how's it going? Today we have Dr. Akilah Bradford joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We can't wait to dive into your story. So your background is very, very impressive. You've been in the industry of teaching, corporate training, and I brought you on because I didn't even know any of this. I just knew you had your HR consulting firm that you just launched.
Yes.
So I've seen you on social media,
Yes.
Promoting that. And even you and I, right before we got on camera, you were talking about wages and stuff like that. So I can't wait to hear a little bit more about that. But give us a brief background.
Wow, let's see. I've worked in human resources for over 20 years.
Okay.
In corporate America, different organizations, Marriott, McGraw-Hill, for the city of Chicago. And once I was laid off in 2019, and right before I was getting a job offer in 2020, pandemic happened.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So let's go, before we get there, let me ask you this. Was HR something that you started out your career like, ooh, I want to be an HR?
I did.
You did?
I'm one of those weird people. Because most people fall into
HR, right?
I chose it in undergrad.
How did tell me about that?
So I was majoring in communications
Okay.
at UIC, and back then, when you were looking for an internship, you couldn't go on the computer. There was a binder. And I flipped through all of these binders looking for an internship, and I saw Fox News, WFLD, Human Resources internship. HR.
Right. That's what I was gonna say, because nobody, like, I was in business, but like
It was personnel.
Yeah.
HR was just introduced around that time. And flipping through, and I found it, looked into what HR really was, and I'm like, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So realized there was the industry that every department needed, and there was the department where I was involved in everything, in everybody's business. I was nosy.
Nobody wants to call from HR, do we?
Right. I'm the most loved and the most feared.
Right, I'm telling you, like at every place.
Yes.
HR's calling.
Right. Oh, here comes HR.
So since you say that, can you explain to us a little bit about the field, how the field has evolved since you've been in it?
It went from filing, hiring, firing, to literally sitting at the table making strategic decisions on the growth of organizations. So the transformation has been enormous. And then the pandemic pushed us even further ahead with Zoom. And managing people electronically from their couches.
Yes.
Where
Yes,
before,
which is way different.
oh, it's completely different.
Right.
How do you manage a staff that's sitting
not-
at home?
Most people can't manage them at
Right, face to face.
right?
Right. And so, the field has, we used to just file, okay, hire, oh, sorry, you're terminated, to, okay, CEO, this is what we need to do to keep the employees engaged, to retain the employees.
Yeah.
This is what we need to do in order for you to grow at the capacity you're trying to grow. And most CEOs, their best friend, their right hand is HR now.
Yeah.
Where before it was, well, I gotta hear HR again. Yeah, so I'm loving it now.
Right. So take us back to the Fox. You're in the book, you're looking, and you're like, oh, HR intern.
And I applied, got the job, and loved that experience.
Okay.
Loved it. I got to create employee orientation for interns, and I learned about the industry. I learned about how people negotiate salaries. I learned that early on.
Yeah.
And how people that sit at the table make decisions and decide who should I hire and who should I not. And so I had great mentors at the time. And that's when I said, okay, HR is for me. This is it. I noticed that there was just this constant flow of people in and out of the HR office.
Okay, because I was going to say there's this reputation that when people get in HR, they never leave. Like they're in that space. Like those jobs don't really come open as much as, at least when I first got into the work field.
Now they're everywhere because there's so many buckets that fall under the human resources umbrella. So, if you don't necessarily want to deal with the people, you can be behind the scenes and do comp analysis and benefits. And, there's some, what they would call front of the house and back of the house as far as HR is concerned. And so now there's so many more options.
Okay.
Way more opportunities to branch into the field.
So you get your undergrad in HR.
I got my undergrad in communications.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, I need to learn more about HR. So then I went and got my master's degree in human resources from National Louis while working and that's when I was introduced to my first mentor. And she was the director of HR. I was the HR coordinator for the Intercontinental Hotel.
Okay.
And when she started, she met with the team that she inherited. And she said, what are you doing in this assistant coordinator position? I'm gonna make you a manager.
Oh, wow.
No interview, no nothing. She looked at my skills, we met, and she said, you either sink or swim.
Well, that's one way to put you out there.
Right. I was like, say less.
Say less.
So I just became a sponge.
Yeah.
Every meeting she went to, I wanted to go to. I asked her a million questions all the time. I just sat up underneath her. Every house she moved, how the people connected with her, those that didn't like her, why. I just
became a sponge.
I just became and learned.
And that's actually like a really big opportunity because a lot of times people don't get mentors right out of school or see somebody say, hey, you come over here and do that. So that was a really great opportunity.
And at the time I didn't, like she was my boss, she wasn't my mentor. I just knew that she was where I wanted to be. And I knew she came with the experience and I saw how people, interacted with her. And I was just like, they love this lady. Right. They trust her.
Okay.
They're coming to her for things outside of work stuff. And I'm like, see, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And that's one of the things that I like to say, like, if you want to do something, you find somebody that's already doing what you want to do, and then you soak up all that information.
All of it.
That's wealth right there.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you, even though you started on that topic. Exactly how instrumental was she to your career?
So instrumental because that was, 2003. She has, without even knowing it, helped me add a component to my current business today.
Oh, really?
Now, I don't even think she knows. I don't think
she's going to watch this and she knows now.
I don't think she has any idea how instrumental she has been all these years. And then even to this day that I'm going to add a HR leadership development program because she said, hey, I need you to train my next protege. You're my biggest success. I want another one. Can you recreate this? And I was like, I can do this for others.
Yeah.
Let me start doing this for others. Yeah.
Amazing. So if somebody's sitting there at home, they know that if they want to get into HR, they want to move in that space, one of the best things you would say is to make sure you find somebody that you can work up under.
Yes.
And learn everything.
Absolutely.
And be a sponge.
Be a sponge, attach yourself to, and that's the thing about attaching yourself to someone. You can do it through LinkedIn. Hey, I just want to learn about HR. You got 30 minutes, you got 15 minutes. And if you all make a connection, they will certainly say, hey, you want to keep doing this? You want to keep talking?
Right.
I like this.
And you said that you had 2 mentors.
I've had a few.
Okay.
And she was the first.
Okay.
And the one that has been with me throughout my entire career.
Okay.
And believe it or not, one of my current clients is a mentor. She doesn't know either.
Wow. You're not afraid to see something and take like the wealth from people to understand and grow and expand.
Yes. I like to be around people who can teach me stuff. That's it.
That's it.
I need to be learning constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. And so when I'm around someone and I'm like, man, the way they capture an audience, ooh, the way they communicate, ooh, the way they present, ooh, the way they're negotiating. I want to learn that.
Yes. Yeah.
And I won't directly say, hey, help me out. I'm just going.
I think that's a thing to highlight right there. Because sometimes, like when I was first looking for a mentor and this idea, I felt like that somebody had to say, hey, I'm your mentor.
Right.
I was very, very young in my 20s. Then I realized, no, I can just take what I'm seeing and experiencing and use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And believe it or not, after a while, they'll realize what you're doing and they'll bring you along.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, this would be great for you.
Yep.
And I'm like, it is. Let's go. Like,
I stole a lot from my aunt too over here.
Well, thank you.
like literally.
But you know, it's back and forth though, because now I'm learning from her as well. So I mean, I think that what you guys are saying is correct. You have to just learn how to keep learning.
Yes.
I love to learn,
Yes.
and I think that that's one thing that makes people more successful, being open to learning different things, thinking differently, right? I believe my mind has changed drastically in maybe just the last 5 years, and most the young people call me old.
Not at all.
And so you just have to be willing to expand your mind, open your mind, think about things differently, and it will make a change in your life.
It will, and you have to realize that like learning doesn't stop once you get the degrees.
No.
Because you're a doctor, right?
Yes.
That means you've been to the top of education, right? But that I always feel like learning. I learned so much more outside of the classroom. You know, so people have to realize just because you get the degree,
it doesn't stop
the
there.
title, you gotta keep learning. You gotta keep going.
Yes.
So you go from the
Intercontinental Hotel, and I left there because my boss, my mentor at the time, was not. And I'm like, I want your job. You're not leaving.
Oh yeah, right.
So I gotta
go somewhere.
I gotta leave you because I'm growing. I'm ready. She has fed me. I am full.
Yep.
And I went to work for the.
Now you gotta go wring it out.
Yes. Now it's time to apply all these things that I've learned and collected. And I went to work for the city of Chicago.
Okay. And what department?
In the training and development department.
Okay.
Yes. And so that culture was just not aligned with how I grew up in HR at the Intercontinental. It's just different.
It's different.
Yeah.
So you say, I'm out of here, city.
I'm out. I love it. I love the people, the benefits, all the things. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good at all. Yeah. So I left there and went to work for McGraw-Hill Education.
Oh, really? Okay, nice.
And that was where I learned all about corporate America.
Okay.
Which is a whole different world
than government.
From government.
Because government is the clock in, clock out, and corporate is let's get this job done.
Right. Spending the night.
Right.
Where you going?
Whatever time. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I had some friends in corporate. It's like I'm like, cause I clock in and clock out. It's like, oh, I left that at home at 3:30, which has had benefits of being able to build a real estate business.
Right. Because
Yes. But like my friends in corporate, they like, girl, we gotta get this project. I'm still working. It's 12 o'clock p.m. Oh, you are. So corporate is a whole different world.
Completely different world. So not only are the expectations different, where you work until the project's done, but the politics. And it's funny speaking
corporate, right?
You think we're gonna deal with politics at the city? That's nothing compared to corporate America. This is where I learned to play the game.
Tell us about this game.
Where you focus on and pay attention to the power players, the decision makers, those who have the ear of the decision makers. It is all about, it's really about shaking hands and kissing babies. It's like, I know who I need to get a relationship or establish a relationship with to get what I need.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that person will be my friend. And then I'm going to go to lunch with them even though I don't want to. And I am going to, sit next to them in staff meetings and do all the schmoozing because I know the CEO or the VP listens to this individual. And so I need an in.
Gotcha.
They are my in. And I also know if I upset them, it's over for me. I'll be stuck right here.
Wow.
So when conversations are had about Akilah wanting to progress, if those individuals don't love me, I'm not gonna make it.
Right there.
Yeah, so it's it's literally playing the game and trying to figure out who's important, who's who not to piss off, and it's so many games.
But let me say this too. You think in the city that it's just politics there, and then you get to the corporate world and you realize it's politics. But one of the things that I just learned myself, but I've been trying to tell people everything is politics.
Everything. Some form of action.
And I kind of hate the whole politics of the thing because in a little bit I'm a rebel.
That's right. Go against the grain.
I really do. And so I hate the politics of it. So in some ways I have been lucky enough in certain spaces to where I think some people like the rebel. Some people, just the fact that you're willing to come with different ideas that people hadn't thought about, you're bringing different things to them. And they're like, wait a minute, this is something new. And I want to explore this, in a rebel in not necessarily being, you don't want to be disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah.
You just want to go against the grain enough to say, this is how we can grow. This is how we can become better. This is, so I think sometimes
new
people
ideas
will like that. Yeah. And then in some spaces, it's kind of like, okay, we need you to sit down right now.
You about to get X all the way out.
You get ready to go.
I like that rebel term. I love that rebel. I think I am a rebel in the HR field, in the HR realm. I feel like in HR, we're technically supposed to be in the middle. We protect everyone. We protect the organization, the employees, stakeholders, customers. However, I understand that if we don't have employees, then all the other stakeholders mean nothing.
That's true.
And so I have had a reputation for protecting employees and pushing back on management. So I can see the rebel. I love that term.
Okay. Go ahead,
take it. Go ahead.
Rebel with a cause.
Right.
We come from a long line.
Brand
We come from a long line of black women rebels, okay? That's what we do, right?
So you're at McGraw, right?
McGraw.
And you're in corporate, there's a game happening. Are you able to have that creativity though, that you're there? What are you learning? What are you doing?
That was where I learned about leadership.
Okay.
And I was empowered. I had a team of great leaders, but I was so young and so inexperienced that I didn't know how to play the game. And looking back, I'm like, you should have stayed longer. You should have worked longer hours, or okay, maybe you established relationships with the wrong people. But what I learned there was how to play the game. And I watched others play the game. I watched how to get what you want to get your job done. Because often in HR, we have these initiatives come down from the big corporate office, right? And we're supposed to implement these initiatives, but you gotta get the buy-in.
You gotta get buy-in though, because even when you're sitting there talking about like getting the job done, like even in government, you have to do that, right? Because I've gotten initiatives because I'm not in management, but I need to get this done because I'm in training and development, right? So I have to get the buy-in from the people, right? So I go to the people that I know got relationships with the other people. You're right, exactly what I said. So I know they
need to get it done.
If not, I'm not gonna get the job done.
Yes, you needed to get it done. And often, because McGraw Hill was so large and we had locations, it was competitive. We were competing against California and New York, like, okay.
Within your organization.
Within the organization. It's like Ohio, the big corporate office would be like, go. And we'll have a meeting, they're like, who got it done?
Wow, okay.
And so Chicago got to get it done.
Right.
Chicago has to get it done. And that was just high stress. And at the time, I had a rough relationship with my manager. She was younger than me.
Okay.
Interesting.
And you were young, so
I was young.
Okay.
So she just out of college then, pretty much.
And I was young, and so that was my first experience with that. And rather than, I said, I gotta learn from her. She did something that I didn't do.
Right.
She did something, and that's why I was like, regardless of how I feel about her, I need to figure out and learn what she's doing that I'm not.
That's some real checking your ego right there.
Ooh.
But also sometimes, let me say this, I'm of two minds with that, right? Because sometimes it is something that you can do, something that you can learn from that person to progress forward. And then sometimes it is simply because they knew the right person. Before they started on step 2 and you started at ground floor. So sometimes that's just the way it is.
A lot of times.
Yeah, and you can't just take your ball and go home.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, how now do I get on the elevator?
Yes. You know what I'm saying? I'll take the stairs. Right. I'm just trying to get up there.
Yeah, I need to get up there too.
Yeah.
So
I learned how to handle emergencies there, and employee went missing.
Really?
Oh my God.
I had an employee who was terminated and on the way out threatened to harm themselves. I had an employee pass away at the job. Like all the things that people say, Akilah, you should write a book. You should write a book about these
experiences. I didn't think about that part of the job.
Nightmares.
Yeah.
Right.
HR nightmares. That's exactly what I call them.
That's a good title though, right?
I call them HR nightmares. That's exactly what I call them. I think I've been through every HR nightmare. I've been through the terminate somebody and then clear your desk. Like in a movie. Oh, really?
Wait a minute. I might have to go to the bathroom for that. Like afterwards. I laugh a little bit like, did you see that?
Right. Exactly. Like.
Right.
Oh yeah. Every wild situation you can think of, I think I experienced. But most of them were there. Believe it or not. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, I've had to. I've had a couple of suicide attempts.
Oh wow. But see, okay, so now it sounds like this is a lot of
Losing a job? But you know what? Because sometimes people have a lot of pressure on them from their families, and I know you got to feed your family, feed a lot of people. So that's a very sensitive place to be in when you say, hey, you don't got a job no more.
So since that time, the way I terminate employees has completely changed because I take into consideration everything.
Now you don't do what the people just did when they laid off this 12,000 people and they just went to their computer and clocked. This
my goodness! They couldn't get back in,
and they couldn't all in.
Right? Yeah. That's crazy.
You don't do that, dude.
That's happening more.
It's happening more.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to
these are
the
really
electronic things.
Huge.
Huge. Like big, well-known
Fortune
companies.
500.
You didn't have enough decency to have a meeting and tell the people or send out an email.
Say thank you.
Well, I think that in technology though, I think somebody said they may be getting better, but it's so much behind the computer. It's so much, just everything is within that computer that it's okay. They believe it's okay to just, I'm going to send out this email, boom, and see you guys later. I mean, because everything is electronic to them anyway.
They don't have any connection with people. If you have connection with people, you would never
do that.
Ever do that.
Yeah.
Extremely strategic. I think about the time of day. If I am aware of anything personal. Is it their birthday? Is it their spouse's birthday?
Wow.
I'm thinking of the questions they'll ask. If I know of any personal mental health challenges, I'm prepared for all the possible things that can happen the minute I say you are no longer employed. Because anything can happen the moment you tell someone that they will no longer be paid.
And let me say this too, and what you were saying was that high stress job where you went through all of those HR nightmares, and we hate those things, right? But they prepared you.
Oh yes.
Right.
So that was instrumental. All of those situations, I know how to handle when an employee dies and what happens after.
And see, we just going to work. I ain't thought about that. You know, I've been showing up to work. Oh, yeah. You know, like, oh, yeah, you dealing with all that behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yes. It's heavy. I say we are mothers, firefighters, police officers, therapists, enforcers, all the things. And HR.
And then.
Then we have to do HR stuff. But yeah, that time at McGraw-Hill was...
How long were you there?
I was there 2 years.
Okay.
And then I was laid off.
HR got laid off.
Right.
How did they
Right. Do they have somebody from the department to contact you as well? Hi. Yes.
Bob, how you calling me?
Wait a minute, they're using some of your strategies that you put in place.
You looking like, Bob, I wrote that. Where are you talking about?
Yes. So at the time they were marrying 2 divisions.
Okay.
And with 2 divisions, that means there's 2 of everything, right? And so it took 6 months to plan because McGraw-Hill is so big. I was a part of those planning meetings and did not know I was in the plan.
Planning your job away.
Planning my job away, going to meetings and all the things. And the day before I was scheduled to deliver those messages to my assigned people, they told me.
Oh, wait a minute. So you got to fire some people and then you about to get...
I'm planning to fire.
Layoff, right. And then you're part of the layoff.
And I'm a part of the layoff.
So knock some stuff off. That's a moment. Or you're like, are you kidding me?
Because we ain't got
planned this.
And what's interesting is they have the packets that you give to people, and when you lay off so many people, you have to provide them with the report with the titles and ages and I believe sex or race of everyone impacted.
So there's no discrimination.
Right, so you share that with everybody. Okay. So in preparation, because I'm preparing, I'm going through this list and I see HR coordinator, I forget how old I was, 27, 26, black, and I'm like,
how many black people in here?
Right. That's me.
Oh, wow.
And so I had time to go home, cry, get mad, all the things before I came back and was told. I don't know how I would have reacted.
Yeah, in the moment.
In the moment.
Right.
Clear. Exactly.
I see why they knock stuff off.
Right.
Exactly.
I get it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
But, I mean, first of all, for them not to have enough wherewithal or maybe just not care enough to maybe just take that name out of there until
actually all they needed to do was tell me in the planning stages, unfortunately you're a part of it, we're going to pay you to stay 6 months.
Yep.
Okay.
And I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you kind of know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
I see that
It's not
there's
what you do,
major
it's how you do
changes.
it.
Right. Yes, I get it. I completely understand the business side of it. Is people get lost on the people side of it. They focus so much on the business side. You forget you're dealing with humans.
Yes, that's why
Human resources. Yes.
Well, we live in a capitalistic society.
Woo!
And so sadly, it's all about the dollar. In
That's
the
it.
end.
Yeah.
And it's a sad world that we live in, because when you said that you focus on employees, I was just thinking most companies are not in the middle. Most HR is on the side of the corporation. They're like, this is who hires me, this is who pays my shit. So I'm going to do what I can for the corporation, not the employee, even though they're supposed to be the middleman and not taking sides. So most people side with corporate period.
All the time. And all of my leaders have known where I stand. But I will absolutely terminate somebody. Don't
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No,
twist
you gotta
it.
go. You gotta.
However, I will not allow you to treat someone unfairly. I will not allow you to violate any laws. I'm going to protect that employee. If I know you're on a mission to get rid of, you know that I'm gonna get rid of them.
Yeah, and then there's a
Paper
start
down.
the paper.
Do it right. As long as you do it right and you're fair. And I will remind you, I'll let you go through the process, right, of creating the documents, keep, the paper trail and all the things. However, when it's your favorite employee,
Do the same.
I'm gonna remind you, remember when you had that paper trail? You need me to start it for this one, or will you?
Right.
Because
Right.
we're gonna apply the
Same thing.
to everyone. And
Right.
then we're fine. But yeah, I will absolutely and protect.
So that's my question then. So has that hurt your career? Being that person who is on the side of the employee, has that been detrimental at any
Great
point?
question. I just have not been very well liked.
Okay.
And I have had to fight harder to sit at the table. I've never been labeled to my face that I prefer or protect. They just know managers don't like me. And I'm okay with that.
Okay.
As long as the key decision maker understands my philosophy and how I approach HR, we're cool.
Okay.
And I think my leaders in my past have appreciated it.
I was just gonna say, even if you don't like it,
Right.
you can appreciate it
Right.
because you're gonna say, "Well, I know this person is gonna lean towards what's right."
Yes.
Or whether what side is
Always.
on, it's gonna be what's right.
Right.
And in
they need
the end,
those
it
kind of
protects
people.
them.
It does.
Even if they don't think
Like
so. Right.
She's gonna be sitting in there writing a check in a minute. You know?
And that's exactly what I explain is, okay, well, let me explain. So if we terminate them, if I were their cousin and they came to me and said my job did this, I would tell them to go here, file here, and you're gonna have to pay out this, and this. Are we sure we want to do that?
So that happened to me at a nonprofit. The lady there was doing some downsizing, and technically I had started looking for another job, and somebody offered me a job on Friday.
Okay.
On Monday I came in the office and the lady was like, "Oh, we're changing your title." I thought I was getting a promotion. They was demoting me. Just a whole lot of stuff. So I went to the computer and I put in my 2 weeks notice. As soon as I left, she was angry. She was like, "I could fire her right now." And HR was like, "Yeah, I don't think you want to do that." But it felt like, who are you to quit?
Right.
Because I demoted you.
Right.
But that's because I had another job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I was trying to say like, oh, maybe I'm going to get a promotion here and I won't take the other. Right? But no, she was so nasty. But then she wanted to retaliate and say, well, we could just fire her today. And they was like, no, you can't do that.
We're not going to do that.
No, we're not going to do that.
But it's totally different in banking, though.
Is it?
Oh, definitely. In banking, so actually, my husband just went through this. Usually, if you hand in your 2 weeks notice, just because it's they're walking you out.
It's
called
the term.
They
call it
walking because you have access to so much sensitive information that they're like, if you're not going to be here in 2 weeks, let's not be here today.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
So you don't have to put in the 2 weeks.
Right.
You put in a day notice. Hey, I'm out of here today.
Yeah, we do that. Hospitality does that for their sales managers because they have the list of all the clients.
Yes.
So the minute a sales manager puts in their 2 weeks, I call them in and I'm like, we're walking you. We'll pay you for the 2 weeks. But we know that by the time they resign, they've already downloaded the entire list.
to do.
Right.
However, in case they haven't,
Just in case.
we're gonna walk you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So then what happens after the layoff?
After the layoff, I did temp work. I lived way far south, and I got a temp job in Naperville.
Oh my God.
So for our audience, we're in Chicago.
We're in Chicago.
Right.
So that commute was
Long.
an hour and a half each way.
For temp work, given your level of stature in your career,
Temp work. Temp work.
Gotta eat. Gotta eat.
Gotta eat.
Yeah.
I have a daughter. I just bought a house. Just bought a house. And was like, I gotta do it. And was still applying. I was there like 9 months, and then I got a job as director of HR for a luxury hotel downtown. And that was, I felt like I made it. Because I was underneath, remember my mentor is the director of HR at the Intercontinental. And now I'm the same title as her.
Okay.
I made it. Like, it's a smaller property, you know, a boutique, and she's at a much larger one, but I made it. And there, because it was a small team, I didn't have a staff to manage. I had so much autonomy. I hired 12 people I knew personally.
See, that's the great thing. Being able to level that playing field a little bit.
And they were qualified, of course.
Yes. They actually had to be interviewed by other people. I just got them in the door.
See, and that part right there.
I just got them in the door. I just presented to the managers, hey, you have this position, or you have housekeeping, or you have front desk. I know someone here, you can interview them. And I would tell whoever I was bringing in, you don't know me. We're cool. Like, you don't need to brag about your relationship with HR.
Right.
And you just do your job. I'll fire you just as quickly as I got you this opportunity.
I know, that's right.
You're not going to destroy my name.
Tell me, I like to go, because the career is what's happening on the outside. Tell me what's happening on the inside as you are maneuvering through all these spaces. Because our audience, you know, people are at different places in their career. And when you say you had to take that temp job, you know, you've done
that was a blow to the gut.
Like, and you just bought a house and you got to travel an hour and a half. Like, what's the conversation going on inside?
It is pure 100% depression. Because it's a blow. Because you feel like I've done everything I'm supposed to do. Right? I went to school. And then I went back to school. And then I went back to school again. You know, I got a second master's. I got the MBA. And I'm like, okay. And I'm getting paid by the hour.
Man.
To work for a narcissist. An hour and a half away. So I have to drop my daughter off. And then still make it to Naperville. And to save my house. And to not have to move back home. It's a ego destroyer.
Right.
And I've always had it's horrible. I realize now through therapy. I should have just asked for help.
Right. And being able to humble yourself, right, and ask for that help.
As black women, sometimes that's very hard.
I got a kid.
She's like
She's 7 years old.
You're the one that was supposed to be, you know, you the one.
I'm the successful.
You're the successful one. You can't you right that part. You the one that you can't ask for help.
Right.
If you ask for help, then we all
You got 12 people a job. You can't ask anybody for a job. It's like,
yes, that was so humbling. But I kept saying it's temporary. It
was literally temporary.
It was literally 9 months.
Temporary work.
It was 9 months of, I put 90,000 miles on my car. And a year. Wait, how many years did I have that car? I had the car 2.5 years, 90,000 miles.
Oh wow.
Yes. But
what works through that though? Because I really don't believe God takes us through those spaces just to take us through those spaces.
I am completely and utterly unstoppable.
Oh, give it to him. Like, you gotta say that. Exactly. Wow.
There is nothing.
I got chills, like literally.
Nothing anyone can say to me.
Right.
I wish you would say I can't do something.
But see, people want to be like that. But it took you got to go through hell and high water to be able to get that. Because when I say you birthed, like that's what you birthed.
Yes.
You birthed that. So you have to go through it.
Right.
Well, because if it's so easy,
I would not appreciate where I am now.
This is what I do. This is how I do it.
And that and when she said that, it wasn't even cocky. It was just like
I am stating a fact from my perspective that I am unstoppable. That there is, I I went through that trying to hide depression, trying to hide anxiety from my daughter and my family. Like, I have to remain strong. I have to put on this facade that everything's okay and I'm going to get through it. And I was determined not to fail. I couldn't. I felt like that there was no room for failure, no room for it. And even today, I still feel that way. And I have my down slopes. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know where you been?
Right.
Yep. You got out of there, you get out of this, you get out of anything else.
Yeah.
I worked for a pure narcissist during that time. I drove an hour and a half to work for a racist narcissist.
Wow.
People can't tell me
And
nothing.
then you working at HR, right?
And I'm supposed to get rid of those type of people. Now let me tell you, I did.
Oh, really? Okay, tell us a little bit about
I
that.
did. And that kicked off the going into organizations and changing culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
That spearheaded that. And because it's all about strategizing. It is going to the powers that be, whether it's the board, whether it's the owner, and saying, hey, can we have a conversation? And spoon feeding them information. Because if I just lay the plate in front of them, they're going to feel overwhelmed and
Yes,
be
too
like,
much.
who made this?
Yeah.
This is fake. No, I'm going to spoon feed you. Eventually, you'll be like, okay, I need you to stop feeding me all of this negativity that's coming from my organization. Well, you full yet? You ready?
Just some more.
Because, right, I still got more.
Yeah.
And they were like, he has to go.
Okay.
But to remove someone that high up,
But that's probably was your assignment.
that
That was the whole reason you were there. Because everybody that got to come after you leave, now they no longer have to deal with him.
Right.
That's why I said there's a reason for everything.
ooh, and I never thought about that.
You had to get him out. Think about all the people he would have terrorized after you.
Ooh. Wow. Because it changed as soon as he left. It shifted. And then I left.
Because that was your assignment.
And then people were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Where you going?
I'm a fixer. I got this out of here, and now God got to take me to mine.
And that's when I said, that's what I want to do. I am great at coming in and I see a little mess. Okay, let me straighten this up. Oh, this got to go. And that's when the fixer became the thing that I realized that's what I like to do. I like to come in and clean up your mess and I'm out. I don't need to
You
stay.
don't got to stay because my job been done.
Right. A dead end.
Olivia Pope.
Immediately.
It's handled.
She said,
It's handled.
everybody knows.
It's handled. Okay. Yes, it's handled. Click. And since that time, I think I have helped transition out 3 CEOs.
Oh, really?
It's strategy. It's playing chess, and I don't play chess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But those forced me into very scary situations that I would not have normally been in. And I was just saying, I would say to myself, you had employees die at work.
Yep.
You've had employees spaz on you, sitting, waiting outside for you, and taking down a millionaire. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. He needs to go. He'll be okay.
He will be okay.
But I never thought about it that way. So many people were like, whew.
Yeah, you saved those people.
Yeah.
Think about those. They don't even have the power to do that. They don't know the law.
Right.
They don't know how to
Right.
strategize. They just
Yeah.
know they come to this place. They need to do the work to get paid to take care of their family. Why should they be terrorized by
Right.
somebody that came with these horrible? Because I think racism is a sickness. Like it's a mental disorder. Seriously.
Genetic.
So you got this. They gonna go somewhere else, but they gotta get up out of here.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that you said is very important because I do that to myself all the time. When I was in school, I used to tell students to do this, but oftentimes what I would say to myself is, oh, you can do anything for a week. You could do anything for, so whatever it is you have to get through to get to,
This
right,
choose your
wherever you're
path.
going, is You have to convince
I
yourself.
tell my daughter that all the time. Like, push through. Come on.
Right.
My dad, to this day, what does he say? Keep pushing. Keep going. Like, okay.
Yep. That's why I stand on this too shall pass.
Keep going.
Don't nothing stay forever. Even we live in Chicago, we get the worst winters. We know this gonna pass.
Right. It'll be gone in a minute.
That's how them struggles be. Like,
y'all keep those.
I know. Every year I'm like, why am I here? Like, I know. So you're at this place, you're getting people jobs at a boutique hotel. And how long were you there?
I was there 4 years.
Oh, nice. You like
4 years. Loved it. And I love the opportunities that it gave a lot of people who are, they're still there now.
Yeah.
And that was probably my proudest time.
Who's your baby? Because you said when you got there, you felt like I made it.
I made it. Yes, I'm the same as my mentor. Like, we're both directors at hotels. I did it. And I get to, help people get employment. Amazing. Then my mentor called me. Said, hey, I got this opportunity. It's under her.
Okay. It's at a bigger place, though.
Bigger place.
Right.
Much bigger place. And I was like, to work for her?
Go back. Okay. I'll do it.
All right. Went through the motions. Offered me the job. And I went to my current boss. And they knew each other because the industry's small. Yeah. And I said, hey, she snagged me.
She got me.
And he said, well, how much is she gonna pay you? And so I lied.
To see if you can get him to match.
Not only did he match, he went up like $25,000. And I called her and I said, guess what he did?
He was playing the game.
He offered me this amount. And she was like, all right, best of luck. Thank you. Like, congratulations.
They leveraged
You stayed. Oh, wow.
I stayed. I did not go. I stayed. I love the place.
Right? Yeah, and you just made all of it. You just gave a bonus.
I just gave myself a bonus.
And okay, so I love that, but I also it makes me a little bit angry that if you knew I was worth that before, why didn't you give it to me?
That's what she said.
Why did somebody else have to see my value?
And just think, when I started with them, I was coming from the temp agency, so I was lowballed anyway.
Yep.
I knew I was lowballed
because they need to get
right. And the person that I replaced was highly compensated, and I knew I wasn't gonna get her salary. But yeah, I knew walking in I was lowballed, but I just needed to get out of that situation.
Well, God gave it back to you.
And sure did, and more. Put me in a whole new tax bracket, and even though for a hot second I thought that, like, man, you didn't want to pay you, and I was like, the only reason you're paying me is because you don't like my mentor. And you want to steal me from my mentor. I don't care.
Right. Because I still win. Because you like this place. So you know, like,
I love my boss.
Winning.
I love the people. I loved everything about it. And I was like, okay, all right.
They just let you know if you're sitting there, they got more money to pay you. They have more money to pay you.
Absolutely.
The money is there.
Because I was never one to negotiate my salary.
Which we were talking about before the camera, and you just left a panel talking about wages.
Right.
Nobody teaches us that though.
No.
Nobody teaches to ask for more.
Because most of the time we're like,
we're just happy to be there.
Yes.
We're happy to be
there.
Right.
Yes. When do I start? When it should be, and it's becoming more common. The panel I sat on, one of the speakers said that 70% of organizations are prepared to negotiate, but only 30% of people do. That's a lot of money sitting on the table.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't even know the stats for women.
Because we're much lower. Because we're just like, oh, thank you. Somebody wants me.
And then the black woman.
And then the black woman. Add that layer. And so I think right now, women make 83 cents for every dollar a man makes.
That's better than
whose fault is that?
Well, I I wouldn't say that it's all of our fault, right? Of course, there's a lot of societal things going on that causes that.
Right.
But I think it does go back to just, I'm in communications, and we just talk about the language that women use. And the differences.
Right.
Men use more power language.
Yes.
We use more like, I think, and I believe, and
I feel.
But the moment, but sometimes when you go the other route, because I've had men supervisors say I talk with too much authority in my voice. Mm-hmm. So like.
Right.
Pick your voice.
Pick your voice. What do you want me to do? Which one?
You want me to soften this up? Or
We also talk about the fact that when women speak the same amount of time as men speak, most women are considered as talking too much.
We would
be the exact same amount of time. So, I mean, I get it. We have to start, like you said, taking control of that situation and being willing to say, this is my worth.
Right.
And you're going to pay the worth to bring it up.
Yes.
Will it ever bring it up to being even? Right.
83 better.
But 83 is better than where we were.
Oh, it was 76. You're right.
I
It was 76.
remember the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let's talk about, so you got your own company.
Yes.
So you was there, you got paid more, and then
I went to another hotel, and that was great. And then I went and worked for entrepreneurs. And
that could be crazy.
Yeah. Don't I know it? And there, I was struggling because entrepreneurs think
visionaries
all over the place.
Meanwhile, I'm coming in cleaning up. There's nothing to clean up. This is my first time creating from scratch.
Okay.
And so I was excited about this opportunity. But what I felt like was what I was creating was not in their vision.
Okay.
And I remember one time the CEO, he sat down with me and he said, how are you doing? And I said, I think you really want to know. And I said, I feel like, and I remember this story, I said, I feel like I was invited onto your boat and we're in the middle of the ocean and there's a yacht across. And you told me, make it. I want you to make it to the yacht. You make it to the yacht, it's the yacht. Make it. And I'm like, I can swim. I can swim. All right. I jump in the water and I'm swimming. And as I'm swimming, the yacht is moving further and further away. It's moving further and further away. But I'm a good swimmer. I've been swimming for 15, 20 years. And I'm swimming and it's moving further and further away. And then I start getting tired. And then I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm about to drown. And he was sitting there like, is that how you really feel? And I'm like, yes. A week later, I was laid off.
Wow. So, right.
He didn't want to know. He wanted you to say, oh, everything's great.
Right.
That was my first time ever in my career being honest.
So, right. So, was that a mistake or was that actually a great thing?
That was an amazing thing. And even in the midst of it, I felt like it was amazing. I had no regrets about finally being honest. Somebody asked me how I'm doing, I'll tell you the roses and everything. It's amazing. Love it. Be miserable. Amazing. Love it. But this was the first time I was honest and I have zero regrets. And that was when they announced that I was leaving. That's when employees who didn't report to me came up to me and said, please start your own company. I want to come work for you. Call me when you started. I've never thought about my own company.
Really?
This was in 2019. Never. It's going to be in corporate America forever. I need to be a VP.
Some people think everybody just want to be an entrepreneur.
No.
Sometimes life puts you in a predicament where you have to be an entrepreneur, where you become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And so I left there 2019, got job offers March 2020. Then we shut down.
The world shut down.
And
right then and there.
Right then. Same month I got a job offer. I got 2 job offers and then it was like bloop. And I was like, this is a sign. So one of the employees from the previous company hit me up, said, I left. I want to work for you. We're not doing anything. And sent me logos, letterhead, services, like the complete startup
Oh, wow.
of my business.
Is that right?
And basically said, you have no choice now.
You don't have a choice.
So that was in March. By May, I had all my LLC, all of the things, and that very same month.
I seen that on social. This I was like, oh, she's starting her. Oh, yep.
And next thing you know, a guy that who does consulting for helping businesses grow, he hit me up and was like, hey, I have these clients. They need HR. What you doing? And I was like, funny you mention it.
I do
Everything
this.
fell in place.
Oh, what's that talk though? Because you just said, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I was going to be in corporate America. What's the inner dialogue now? Is there fear? Is there?
You know what? It was, those voices were muffled. The people who were like, I want to work for you, I want to work from you. And then I was engaged at the time. My engagement ended. So I moved back home. And I was in the comfort of mom and dad.
Yeah.
And they were like, use this opportunity.
It's the opportunity.
And I was like, I don't have a choice.
Right. Everything is aligned.
Everything is pointing in the direction of the HR Doc consulting firm. What am I doing? Like, whenever I would think about going back to work, my mother would be like, why?
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 You
Do it.
Do it.
This man is spoon feeding you clients. You know, I started my business with 3 clients that I did no work for.
And nobody, that doesn't happen. That just doesn't.
That does not happen.
You didn't have to get out there and hustle to find.
I didn't have to hustle once. They were his clients, and he was like, okay, once they get to a certain level with me, I send them to you. Like, God, I hear you.
I just hear, go ahead and do it.
I hear you. I hear you. And I have been focused, but the voice, the fear was being an entrepreneur is so unstable financially.
Right.
I'm used to a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right.
Now I don't get up and do the thing.
You don't hunt, you don't eat.
Right.
If you don't hunt, you don't eat. And so I was like, well, let me get these shotguns. It is not for the weak at heart.
Right.
However, when people hit me up like, hey, there's this opportunity, it pays. And I'm like, oh, that money.
It's always going to be there though, right? You can always.
And I just said no, because what I've gained is freedom.
That part. See, and I think that's the part where people, when they think about entrepreneur, a lot of times it's not all about the money. It's literally the freedom.
That's I don't make a lot of money.
It's the freedom.
I am doing some amazing. Every one of my clients that I have are amazing. They're doing amazing things in the community, and I keep saying I'm a part of that. I'm a part of that. That feels amazing, and I get to work out when I want. I get to sleep in when I want.
And that's how we met. We went to the same gym, Cycle.
Okay.
Cycle instructor.
And the freedom is worth every tear, how am I gonna pay this bill? Am I ever gonna move out of my parents' house? But my support system is solid.
And you're building. You're building something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a constant build. And I have zero regrets. I essentially serve as HR for small growing businesses that can't afford a full-time HR person.
Right. And sometimes they don't really need it.
They don't.
To that capacity.
They don't.
So you literally are now an HR department for lots of entrepreneurs
Yes.
and these small business owners.
Yep.
So at the HR Doc, right? Okay. So what do you have any specialties or anything that you guys in particular
do it all.
Okay.
Whatever the client needs.
Okay.
And if it's an area that I don't have the capacity to do, I use my network to fill that gap for them.
Okay.
Because you say, a lot of people still in the industry.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The industry's super small. And now because of COVID, there are more entrepreneurs.
There are.
So
there are it's a lot of shifting happening in this market, in the world, altogether, everything.
Yeah.
Especially what you talked about, working from home. People are becoming entrepreneurs. I think too, because a lot of people were angry, like, oh, we can't get people to go back to work. I think when COVID showed people that they have the capacity to feed themselves, to make $1.
Right.
Yeah.
Or to do more with less.
To do that too.
Like
that too.
I thought I needed all of this to survive. I've been
don't need
surviving
it.
off of this. And I'm less stressed.
Because some of these jobs will pay you a lot of money, but you have no life.
None.
No work-life balance.
None.
That's your whole life.
None. I have friends who work constantly. Constantly. And I'm like, and they would trade. Like I say, I'll give you some of my freedom for your money. We trade off a little bit. But yeah, it's zero regrets. I am tired. I am scared. I am anxious. But I'm not stopping.
Because you're unstoppable.
Because
And your journey
I'm unstoppable.
created that.
Yeah. And I have a 23-year-old daughter who is entering this workforce. And it's been critical since I worked in the suburbs to show her, all right, we work. We work hard, but I play too. And I just am constantly thinking about her and what she sees and what she is witnessing and what she is experiencing before she goes out here and she's discriminated against and she has to deal with the politics. We've been having these conversations. We spent a lot of time in traffic.
Right.
Driving back and forth. So I've been very transparent with her about how the workplace is and getting her ready to
enter that.
Here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah. And if our audience is sitting there, they want to work in HR, give them some tips on there. And then also, I want you to get some tips on that wage situation.
Yes.
That the people are going to be interviewing.
To get into HR, LinkedIn is everything. It depends on where you are in the stage in your life. For those leaving college, intern. My thing is I did an internship for 2 months. That was enough experience to build on my resume to then get a coordinator job. So you don't have to be an intern for a year. Be an intern for 6 months. I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start giving people opportunities. Hit me up. Be like, listen, what do you need? And I'm like, okay, I want to help people get the experience because it's so hard to branch into HR without the experience. But where do you start? But if you reach out to people on LinkedIn that you admire, that work in organizations that you like, Microsoft, whomever, do that search on LinkedIn, send them a message and say, hey, I'm interested in what you do. You have 15, 20 minutes to talk. And just be a sponge. Get advice. And then when opportunities are presented to them, they'll have you in mind. I'll be like, oh yeah, I did talk to that young lady that wanted to get in HR. Let me send her a message.
That's true.
You think about those people. Somebody just reached out to me. They're in a whole nother country. They're getting their master's in HR. She wants to do my social media and be my virtual assistant.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As a part of her intern.
It's a part of her education.
Like a practical.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And what did you say? Absolutely, for sure.
Right, let's talk.
Let's create value for people.
Right.
And then they'll create value for you.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Right. And then it's wage thing. Because people are interviewing and they are looking at different opportunities. How should they go into negotiating their wages?
The minute you get the job offer, say thank you, I'd like to look at it, and then you negotiate. You do not accept the first offer.
Do not accept the first offer.
Accept the first offer.
Okay.
Get over the fear that they will say no. They may. They very well may say this. this is my budget. This is all I have. They will not rescind the offer.
That's what I was going to say. They're not going to rescind it though. Like if I say
you still got the job.
That's what I used to feel like. Well, if I say no and then they were like, well, this is all we got, so we're not going to give you it. So don't have that fear.
No.
And is there other things they can negotiate besides the wages? Because sometimes
everything is negotiable. Everything.
Give me some examples.
The wages, the benefits, the health care, the
vacation time,
all of that's
important.
If it's an in-office role, then you can negotiate being at home 2 days a week. You can negotiate a car, anything.
Really? A car.
If you're on the road,
yeah,
you drive a lot. I want a stipend to buy a car.
Oh
wow!
If you're in one of those roles that were companies that were in the loop and are now in the suburbs, they will give $10,000 toward a car because now their employees have to commute to Naperville. There's money there. And the worst that can happen when you negotiate is they say, no, I am not. After hunting you down and interviewing, you think I'll rescind the offer because you asked for an extra $5,000?
Because the employment process itself costs money.
Yes, it does.
Too much money. It's expensive.
That's that's a lot of companies' highest expense is hiring and training.
Their turnover.
Their training.
Yeah. Ask. Never take the first offer.
Love that.
Know your worth. Know it. You have to know it. You know what you bring to the table. Don't come to me asking me for more money and you don't know why you asking me for more. Why? Why are you asking me for more money?
Gotcha.
Oh, because I deserve it. Why?
Put it in paper.
Why?
Because I know
because I bring this. Because I've done this and I can do this for you. That one. I want to know what you can do for me.
How can you expand us and our goals? Help us reach our goals.
They have objectives and it's stuff that they want to get done.
There's a reason I wanted you, but you're asking me for more money. Be able to articulate it, and if not, be ready to negotiate other things, or just be confident in the fact that you did it. You asked.
That part,
right?
You asked.
I like that.
As our ancestors said, a closed mouth don't get fed.
Yes.
Well, we're going to get y'all full over here at the BBL platform. We're going to make sure y'all get what y'all need. Do not be afraid to ask for more money. And also do not be afraid to make the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship if that's something that's calling your name. Love it.
Yes.
You literally are a black boss lady.
And your legacy will live on.
Yes.
On our platform.
Thank you
for coming.
So thank you both ladies for the invite. This was great.
It was.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the BBL Platform Podcast, the place where legacies live. We hope you will join us on our next inspirational journey to success. Be sure to rate, like, and subscribe to our show. For more information, please visit our website at theBBLplatform.com.